So welcome back to Gearhead Geeks. Today we're going to be taking and lacing and truing a wheel off a 1969 TS250. Belonged to my friend John, and he brought it over, and we're going to lace it and true it. So let's get to it. These details are the most important part, and it doesn't seem like much, but it is. It's a lot. Early. So, oh yes. Yeah, you have to do all 36. And this, there's two different types of hubs. There's two different counts. You can get 40 hole or 36 hole. Japanese usually use 36 hole, and Europeans would, old European bikes use 40 hole. This is an outer because of that mark. So we know that this one's an inner. This one would be an outer. See, another mark. An inner, an outer. And so when we put the spokes in, we'll put the spokes in accordingly.
Is it true that those are called slave marks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those help you.
Well, it's a kind of a strange name to use.
Let's understand what spokes go where in this. We've got 4 different types of spokes. 2 sets that are long, and then 2 sets that are short. And they're the shorter ones, as we can see, there's a slight difference in those. So what we want is the shorter ones go into the larger hub over here, and the longer ones go into the smaller part of the hub. So once you determine that, go find the right ones here. And these are the long ones, and these are all the short ones. Yes. Then, once you determine the long ones and the short ones, then you have to determine the inners and outers. And that's really easy. When you look at a spoke, when we grab a spoke, we need to look at the angle here. That angle, if it's less than 90 degrees, it is an inner spoke. If it is 90 degrees or more, it's an outer spoke, because it's going to go around this way. The inner spoke goes this way. So now what we want to do is, once we've determined the types of spokes that we need to know our long spokes and our short spokes. So we start always with inners. We're going to put the wheel together with inners first. Don't worry about the outers, because if you try to put the spokes in there, you can put all the spokes facing the right direction, and you're dealing with 36 spokes and it becomes a mess. So the best way to do it is to just do the inners first. And the reason you can do the inners first is because once the wheel is basically together with the inners, you can take and push the outer spokes in. You can't do it with the inners, because once you put them in, you can't get around the other spokes. So what we do here is we're going to find our short spokes. We'll start with our short spokes. These are them. And we'll pull some out here again. Okay. Now we have the short spokes, which are going to go into the larger part over here, and then we can determine the outers by looking at the markings that came out of it. Now this is in a used hub, you can see that. In a new one, you can't, but it's easy enough to figure out where they'll go once you get them in. So in this case, we know that this is an inner, and every other one is going to be an inner.
Because there's no mark.
Okay, so then what we do is we'll take this, now that the spokes are in, we're going to take this and turn it over this way, and these spokes go this way. We'll just get them basically in there the way that they need to go. Okay, and then we're going to do the other inners. And these are going to be the long inners. Okay. And we can see that this is an outer on this one, so we just go here. Every other one. Okay, so every other one is filled. So now what we want to do, lift this up a little bit, and let's get them pointing in the right direction. Basically our next trick. Okay. So everybody's kind of pointing in the right direction. So now what we have to do is determine where the spokes go on the rim. And it's relatively simple. You look at the spoke and you see it's going this direction, and these guys go in 4 different directions. Some are pointing this way and this way, some are pointing that way and that way. So in this particular instance, we're coming in from this side. There's its home. So now what we need are some nipples. And you just start them one at a time. We're not going in, we're not tightening, we're not adjusting anything. So we go to the next one. If we go 4 spokes over, 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll find it's the same one. And same, so we start moving around. And we see that it's pointing this way and toward that. Okay, the next one, same drill. And we find our next spoke, and it's pointing this way. Okay, and our next one. And again, it's pointing in the direction that we want. Kind of awkward. And we go to the next one. Find the one that's pointing, and it's 4 away each time. And we go to the next one. And it's 4 away. And the next one. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you are. Okay, so now what we've got is all of these guys have been put in. They're all facing the right direction. So now all we have to do is start doing the other side. Well, the other side has also got a hole facing that way and that way. So the inners go opposite each other on each side, always. And we go here. And 4 over. next one. So the next one's going in the wrong direction. Yeah, it's working in the right direction. Some more nipples here. Next. In the right direction. This one. Now the reason that we're doing just the inners, now we're not having, if one spoke isn't facing in the right direction, which like this one isn't, if we have to remove a spoke, we only have to remove one. We don't have to just unlace this whole thing to get one spoke back in. So this one here needs to go this way. And this guy will go here. Maybe. I know you want to go in there. And last one, this guy. Okay, so now our wheel is semi-centered and all the inners are in. Now we can do the outers. And the outers, we find the short ones and the long ones, and we're on the long side, so we'll use long spokes. And to do this, we just take, we can roll them in, and go to the next one, and as we see, there's a nipple holder facing in the direction that we want. Just start working our way around. Go ahead. Throw these other guys in there because it's just and they can only go, there's only the holes left for them. So there's no ambiguity where they go. All those outers in place. Back down. And they always go in the opposite direction that the inners are. So here we are with a nipple facing in the right direction. Next one, nipple facing in the right direction. Next one, nipple facing in the right direction. Please. Nipple facing in the right direction. And lastly, this guy. Oh, there's one more. Okay, so now we're down to our last set of spokes that we need to put in, and these will be the short outers. And again, just a reminder that the outers have to wrap around, so there's going to be more of an angle. And it's usually just slightly more than 90 degrees in most cases. Sometimes they're 90, sometimes they're not. So in this case, we'll just go ahead and throw in the outers into the only remaining holes. It's so much easier than trying to put all these spokes in, get them aimed in the right direction, and fiddling around with having to remove spokes and do other things just so you can get them going right, and it becomes a headache. This is simple. It always works out. It's always the same thing. And you just don't, it's almost no much no fuss. Lay it down. Okay. And obviously our outers always go in the opposite direction of the inners, and guess what? The nipple facing that way, up, and everybody works out. And the wheel is laced. Without any fiddling around with all the spokes going into different directions, it's just too easy. So the next trick is you have to get it ready for truing. Now, this wheel is loose, it's moving in all these different directions, and the idea here is to get a start so you're not having to work at it so hard. So basically all that you need to do in this case is run these nipples down till the same amount of thread is showing on each and every nipple, on each and every spoke, excuse me. And we're going to give about four or five threads on each one. It doesn't mean it's right, but we're even all the way around. I mean, that we need to have a good starting point of being even. And in this case, it's about a 1/4 inch. They're going to go in a lot more, but at least we're starting the same. And there's really no fast way to do this. You just have to do it. It's about as fast as it goes. There's 36 spokes, and you're going to be winding on 36 of them. When I'm lifting up, I'm trying to just take some of the pressure off the spoke so I can turn it. If your spokes aren't loose and easy to turn by hand, you can use a screwdriver on the end of the nipple. The newer nipples, the more modern nipples, have got a place for a Phillips screwdriver, which is really nice. So I'm starting with a 1/4 inch, which is a little much. It's probably going to be closer to 1/8 of an inch, but if you get it too tight, then you got to loosen up the others, and it's worth it just to go in and roll them around and get them close enough to start. And it looks like we are all the way around. So we've taken a lot of the slack out of the wheel, but there's still some in there. So what we'll end up doing is probably getting these closer to having, well, we'll start with, a good way to start is find a hole and start with it. This has got a rim lock, and this is where you've got 2 rim locks in this, and then one for the valve core. The valve stem, excuse me. Just find a hole and work your way around. And again, as you get this way, you're starting to feel it tighten up a little bit, and I'm going down to about 1/8 of an inch now instead of a 1/4. About 1/8 of an inch thread showing on each and every spoke. And the reason I'm doing this is because if you just start tightening spokes, you're going to end up with a wheel that's really out of true to get started. This one, see, this spoke is already starting to get tight right here, and so that means we've probably already gone a little bit too far. So I have to back up just a little bit on these guys. And again, we're just trying to get them as close to being even as possible. Because we're ready to start turning this wheel here. Tight. That means that these guys over here are just getting too tight, and we're pretty close to getting all of them. And I'm just evening them up a little bit. And look, we've almost lost all of the.
Asking if it's just a feel thing when you notice how tight. You asking.
So you're just feeling the spokes, making sure they are just have
No, we're not doing that yet. All we're doing is just making sure there's 1/8 of an inch of thread showing.
Okay.
We're just trying to get it as even as possible. That's all we care about. Okay, so now we're going to get it in a truing stand. Thanks for watching this video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, hit the like button, and we're going to be presenting more and more how to fix your motorcycle type videos and how to do things that aren't in the norm. So, see you next time.